If you recall from the review results video, this is the production schedule screen. All information about all jobs that run on all 30 machines is input on this screen, and you are able to view the results of your jobs in real time as they finish throughout the day. At the end of each business day, all line items on all 30 machines are then transferred to the job history screen or process history screen, depending on the type of business that you're in. And this is the master job history screen. On this screen we see the same data that was on the production schedule screen, and we can scroll across to get an idea of where everything is located. There's a little bit of difference here. These columns right here are going to add up or subtract in this column in the event that your processes become more efficient. Every day that you add the job from the prior day, these totals are just going to keep adding up. This master job history screen has enough capacity to hold 3 months of 7 days a week production, 20 jobs per machine for 30 machines. And then at the end of the quarter, this data then is transferred to another screen so that you can look week by week, day by day, quarter by quarter. In the event that you want to be able to run your first month's financial statements after using the system, determine what your financial outcome was, then you can come back to this master job history screen and you can say, well, here's part of our problem, or here's the reason we were so successful because these numbers were extremely low. And that's really what we want to be able to do, is to be able to identify from a financial perspective where our problems lie. Another great attribute of this particular screen is that it allows us to sort all of the data that we have collected over the quarter by customer, part number, machine or process, problem code, whether it's defect problems or runtime problems, efficiencies to quotes or routings, overproduction percentages by operator, by number of defects, by setup time, and by finish date and time. And basically it's very simple. We go over here and we click and we drop down to the amount of data that we want to sort. If we want to sort by customer, which is column M, we just click on sort, sort by, column M. Click OK. Now our data is sorted by customer name. Now let's say we just want to sort through these Ford jobs and look for some further information. We would just pick what we want to do with the customer there, which is Ford, and let's look for efficiencies to quote, which is column Y. Let's sort Ford by column Y, and we now have our efficiencies all sorted. If we wanted to take that same group of data, you can basically sort it by any of these. Okay, so that basically will allow you to, in a very short period of time, get a lot of information that you're going to need in order to make decisions. Another nice option that this screen shows is that it lists all of our problem codes, and it also tells us how many quality problems for each of the problem codes we had, the percentage of those that were problems, and it calculates the amount of time wasted due to those quality problems with regard to how much time we quoted each part to be run on our quote. It also categorizes the same thing in runtime problems. So it's going to categorize how many times you had a PR code and what percentage was that of the total. And again, it's going to give us our hours of waste to date, because these numbers are going to keep going up and up and up and up as you keep putting more and more information in on a day-by-day basis. The other problem codes are located right here, and it's just the balance of the problem codes that we ended up putting in on the operations setup page from the very first video. In addition to that, it's also telling us of all of the problems, be they quality or runtime problems that we had, what machines those problems occurred at most in order of highest to lowest. In this particular case, you can scroll across, but we see that machine number 1 is highlighted in red with 4, then 2, then 0, and then machine number 4 has 2, and so on and so forth. As we scroll across, we can see which ones were our machines that had the most problem code. That way, depending on the type of business that you're in, if you have a lot of different types of jobs that repeat, maybe they repeat all the time, maybe they repeat seldomly, you can still get an idea of whether or not there's just a few machines where you're having the majority of your problems, be they quality or runtime. So that just helps us get to the bottom of problems quicker. This portion of the screen is for corrective action to be taken. After we've identified what problem codes we had, looked into the problem, we can use this portion of the screen to go ahead and say, okay, we've made a determination that we're going to take corrective action. We just type it in here into this cell. Type it in. I've typed something in here. If you want to review it, you double click on it and it comes up. Reviewed and changed setup procedure. Replace stops and fixture due to excessive wear. The date, who created the corrective action, how many we estimated hours to complete, any additional purchases that we may have to make in order to do the corrective action, and who approved it, and who was the technician that actually, in this case, made sure that the procedure was changed and put the stops in place, and how many hours did it actually take. So you basically have an estimated hours to complete the corrective action and an actual hour. And as we sort, and a day by day when you have corrective action that needs to be done, you can go ahead and keep track of where we're at with corrective action. If you sort things, this is all going to go with it. So again, if you had corrective action for different customers and different part numbers, you can say, okay, for Ford part number XYZ, and you'll have all of the corrective action that you've taken on part number XYZ, irregardless of what machines they went through. If you have a product that goes through 5 machines, all of your corrective actions for all 5 of those machines, you can sort that way in order to have all your corrective actions line up. This is a special history screen, and this is just for jobs that we ran this week so that you can segregate on a day-by-day basis how you're doing. Okay, it's going to everything is pretty much the same information. All of this data is the same data that's coming on a day-by-day basis. As you can see, it's adding up all of the numbers on a daily basis, so every day you can see how much the totals were as far as extra costs for the day, what machines they were on, what your problem codes were, what your totals were. The only thing that's different is we don't do corrective action in this particular screen. We do that on the master job history screen, so that it will go forward when it gets to the year-to-date screen. So that will always follow with it. And that concludes the video on the job and process history screens and continuous improvement tracking. And I hope that you can see the value in how our systems may help you improve yours. Thank you for visiting Efficiency Solutions.